Pokemon has cuter characters and better evolutions, subjective. There is also a clear battle system established, subjective, and their traits are... I'm just being salty. What's going on, boys? So a little bit of a different video today. So the boy Shiki in my comments told me about a couple articles, and this one immediately, I didn't look at it, just the title he gave me immediately grabbed my attention. So with the release of the new Pokemon games, I put out my yearly 2 Pokemon videos. So go watch those because I'm spitting in them. But there's a reason why I always make these videos, guys, and it's for the opposite of this article that we're seeing right here. So contrary to what they're saying, I don't believe this at all, because my whole spiel is Digimon is structured in the same exact sort of setting as Pokemon, meaning if Pokemon could be the biggest IP in the world, there's no reason Digimon can't either, because we have all of the same pieces. And really, the difference is just Pokemon's organization. They're properly structured, but that just means Digimon needs to figure their shit out, and we can easily follow their trail. So with that being said, let's see what this article says. And like I said, I have videos on this topic. I'll post them I'll put them in the description. Go watch them because it'll be interesting for y'all to hear my opinion before it's been tainted by anything this article has to say, you know? So let's get to it. Pokemon will always be superior to Digimon. I feel like the conversations aren't necessarily that, but I'll let it slide. Starting with the development of each franchise, there is already a stark difference in creation. Pokemon was developed by Satoshi Tajiri, who loved to collect insects as a child. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. He was also responsible for creating Game Freak, which started out as a magazine. Interesting. In 1989. He took his magazine and turned it into a gaming company. That's a good picture of Agumon, I'll tell you what. Knowing that he created Pokemon based on that makes loving it a more wholesome experience. Man, they bringing up some subjective shit up front. Jesus. For a lot of fans, having a person who shares close similarities in how their mind works makes the experience more personal. Fans are more apt to go all in collecting and spending money on merchandise because it benefits their cause of having more games and content made. What? He's like talking as if Pokemon is some YouTuber, bro. What is going on? It's a classic case of supply and demand. The Pokemon franchise has become a staple of childhood and adult entertainment ever since. But that's just how it goes for anything. What? I gotta keep reading. On the other hand, Digimon started with consumerism in mind. The first Digipet was made to combat the Tamagotchi. After creating the Digipet, an anime was created around the toy, much like some American cartoons were made. It's just a weird start, guys. Weird start. Pokemon started with a card game released that same year. Like Pokemon, there would also be a card game released for Digimon in 2000 with characters and evolutions. Since there really is no battle system in Digimon, the card game paled in comparison to Pokemon. Gameplay for the card game is very confusing. There are a lot more rules and mechanics than in Pokemon, which is fairly straightforward. Now, I mean, while I'm not the biggest card person, I have this, and I feel like when you look at this, you could just tell this is some ancient stuff. I've had this for quite a while, right? And as a kid, I never really had the games, but I had these cards. I guess they were just more easier to buy. I guess. Maybe I'll get some footage to put it in the video so I can see some of my cards. Look at that Dark Charizard right there. Looks pretty cool. But yeah, so like I have these, right? And then I did get a 100-pack of what is it, BT05 last year, and I pulled this really cool Omegamon Zork. But that's the extent of my experience, history with Digimon cards specifically, right? So this one dates back. My point is, like, I don't know, I can't argue much about the rules, but the only thing that I do know, my man's Cry for some of y'all might know him. He got heavily into Digimon specifically last year, and one of the big reasons he told me, like the card game specifically, well, Digimon as a whole, but it was because of the card game. And one of the things he told me was that the card game was easier than things like Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe Hearthstone, I'm not, but I know he said Yu-Gi-Oh. And just overall, he was saying it was an easier card game to get into. Again, this is 2021. Maybe back in the day, we didn't have a good structure, so that's kind of what they're talking about. But that's just where I'm sitting right now. But let me know in the comments below if this is some cap, or if they're speaking the truth. When talking about the anime series, one has to look at the overall picture. What are they about to say? It's true that they are both story-driven, but Digimon had much darker themes, such as growing up and depression. Pokemon is a much easier show to jump into at first because so many episodes can be used as a starting point. Even watching episode 1 of Digimon viewers can get confused. Mad interesting. I'm gonna be putting out, it might be out by the time this video's up, but I should be putting out a short around my thoughts of Ghost Game. And one of the biggest issues I have with Ghost Game is the fact that it's exactly like how they're saying it in a sense. they're each all episodic, but in a way, Ghost Game could be their way of combating this point right here. Digimon being, it's definitely not easy. You got to be paying attention. I'll tell you that. Pokemon is also much easier to get into with one continuous storyline, where Digimon has different seasons and different multiverses. That's very true. That makes it much more confusing for those just starting out and hard to attach to characters. The only problem with that is it's not necessarily that hard, bro. Watch it, pick a season and watch. And obviously start with Adventure 1 and go through. I'm literally doing it right now, and I'll tell you, it is a very great experience. I'm on try right now. Actually, I'm on Confessions Part 5, like as we speak, chat. Right before I recorded this video, bro, I was watching that. I finished Part 4, and it is such a magical experience seeing these kids grow up and everything, and seeing what's happening. If you remember Confessions Part 4, crazy shit happened, like wild stuff just happened. So while yes, it could be confusing, but it's straightforward to the most part. Google it and you'll figure it out. No matter what, it starts with adventure and then kind of go from there. And then after that, I can say, right, it is confusing, but after watching Adventure 1, 2, try, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna be like, damn, this is a good show, and you're gonna want to figure it out. That would be my review. But no matter what, they're not lying. They're not saying anything false. This is honestly, this is the same stuff that I say. As Ketchum and Pikachu are constant in Pokemon that many fans can connect with, whereas there's no guarantee that you'll see a Digimon tamer again after the series runs its course. Digidestined makes it seem less accessible. I don't really know what they mean by that. The act of an entity choosing someone to protect the digital world is not what many are looking for in an adventure anime. Interesting. Pokemon was created in a way where anyone who wishes to become a Pokemon trainer can do so. I see. There's no special call to action, only that when a child turns a certain age, they can now go out on a journey to become a great Pokemon master. Pokemon has cuter characters and better evolutions, subjective. There is also a clear battle system, established, subjective, and their traits are, that's not subjective, I don't know, I'm just being being salty. And their traits are illustrated to work better or worse against certain types. Water Superior, what do you, in Digimon, it's not so clear to do start out with the franchise. Okay, I guess. Now, it's not clear when you start out, but it becomes clear. I think it's like any other RPG. But really what they're saying here, guys, is Digimon Pokemon. Pokemon is that super friendly, simplistic, straightforward RPG. Whereas Digimon is more of the traditional JRPGs where it's not all fleshed out, but once you play it, you're gonna figure it out. You know what I mean? Because it has its own unique take on things, whereas Pokemon leverages realistic concepts, water, fire, to, you know what I'm saying, make it a little bit easier. It's all fine points, right? Again, in my first impressions video of Scarlet and Violet, I was basically saying, like, you don't become $1 billion franchise from just being good, right? Yeah, like it takes more than just being a good franchise to become $1 billion. And having that consistency, which is what I mentioned in my review, is something that is very important. So again, I'm saying the same shit they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Digimon don't have a clear defined set of skills, and instead of tamers telling them what moves to make, they just do it on their own. It takes the strategic element out of the battles, and there is a disconnect between tamer and Digimon. While both shows try to show that they can work together as a team, it comes off much better in Pokemon because of their ability to communicate without words. What? See, that last blurb is very tone deaf. Like, somebody like as I'm watching the anime, it's becoming clear to me like how fraudulent that statement was. Kind of to her point, like, Digimon is confusing. So you could obviously tell she didn't go that in depth on Digimon, but it gets to a point where we got to question ourselves. We as Digimon fans, can we blame her? It's not straightforward. I've had to dedicate a year in, and we're a year in from me basically focusing on just Digimon. And so this is beginning of year 2, and I'm just now fully comprehending things, right? It took me a year of just completely brainwashing myself in the Digimon knowledge encyclopedia before things started making a lot of sense to me. Now, one thing to point out though, that didn't take away my enjoyment from the games, right? I really came back to the Digimon fandom with Cyber Sleuth back in 2015. Look at the videos, and I had that's me pre-watching like anything. In my most recent short about is this peak Digimon, I was saying that, like, I had only watched bits and pieces of season 1, 2, maybe I think Tamers, I saw some bits of it as well, but after that I hadn't seen anything, but I was still loving the game. So despite what they're saying here, again, this article is predicated on the concept of Pokemon will always be the highest grossing monster catching game in genre, not Superior. That's why I didn't like this. I don't like this. Superior is too subjective. It's too subjective because you look at the anime. Nobody, sometimes maybe you don't want a simplistic anime. Maybe you want a deep, engaging story. Then you go to Digimon. You're not going to Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the end all be all. Is my main point. Just because it is a little confusing doesn't mean that they can't, first off, fix that, number one, and then two, start making it a little bit more easier to get into. But the only way Digimon could hope to ever get as big as Pokemon is if they started following their footsteps, became more simplistic so it's easier to get into. But we don't need to be big like that. Like at the end of the day, the games, the Pokemon games, there's some dick, man. There are some straight A dick. They're just fun to play. That's it. That's all they got going for them. So like, I don't think I want to be a Pokemon if it's gonna make my games worse, right? So the moral of the story is exactly what I'm saying, and honestly, with every video that I make, chat, it's to convince y'all to come into my court. We don't need to completely become basic like Pokemon, but we need to begin becoming more simplistic, more open. We need to make it easier for new people to join the fandom. You know, if I wasn't running this channel, I wouldn't have been as gung-ho to put in the work to understand Digimon. I'm referring to it again, but Jaden Animation's video is a perfect sign. She had to do research, like concrete research, to figure out which Digimon game to play first. And she made the wrong decision. Like after all the work she put in, she still made the wrong decision. Whereas Pokemon, it doesn't really matter, right? You can kind of start wherever the hell you want. You're gonna get a very similar experience. I mean, that's my thoughts on it, man. One thing that I've noticed with y'all though is, you know, y'all don't like this conversation. Y'all don't like this conversation. And I think it's because of the reasons that she stated. Y'all don't like this conversation because y'all don't want Digimon to be like Pokemon, right? And I get that. But if we want our games to be better, if we want this open world, if we want all that shit, they're gonna need to make it easier. They're just going to. It's too much. You make a good game, bro, a good Digimon game, I promise you, if you liked it and you were like, you enjoyed that game, you're going to figure out how to watch the anime. I promise you that's not a problem. So I don't think they need to do anything to the anime. I think they do a great job. They're trying stuff out. It's always new. It's fresh. It's refreshing, right? A new season. We don't know what to expect. It's cool. So I don't think I need to worry about that. Honestly, it's the games. The games is the catapult, in my opinion. Think about Pokemon. The anime, card, everything is predicated on the game. So I think Digimon can operate in the same vein. AKA, we don't need to worry about all the other confusing stuff. Just make a crazy looking Digimon game because we can, right? And then the rest will take care of itself. That's my thought. With that being said, let me know what y'all think. I thought this article was about to be mad long. I'm so happy it wasn't that long. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about that. But with that being said, also go watch them Pokemon videos. I'm telling y'all, bro, y'all will like them shit. Anyways, I'm out.
Hey,
bye.
Thanks for watching. Hope you coming back soon. It's the boy Jam, the squad, it's the tune. Always feeling great, see me smiling in the room. I been getting to the money ever since I left the room. Hey, how we doing? What's the